May 1st, 2019. Welcome to the first ever podcast here at Anytime Fitness Lakewood. This is personal trainer Matthew Fogle, and I'm sitting alongside owner of the business, Darrell McKay. And I thought it'd be a good idea to let us get to know Darrell a little bit more and find out what motivated him to get into the fitness and wellness industry and eventually purchase his own club. So Darrell, welcome.
Hey, Matthew, that's great. I really enjoy talking to you today.
Awesome. So let's go to the first part of that, motivating people to get fit. But you yourself had to have your initial motivation yourself to get in this industry, correct?
Yes. If I take you back in my history, Matthew, I grew up in Massachusetts. And when I was younger, I really had a passion for sports. And that was kind of the driver for me. So I played baseball, basketball, soccer. But my desire was to be a professional basketball player and play in the NBA. So I was very competitive. I trained myself. I played basketball in high school and in college. And I was really driven to be successful. So part of my motivation was to learn how to train myself and become a better athlete and play at the highest level of sports.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people who are eventually going into whatever industry they go into usually have a mentor of some sorts or somebody who kind of demonstrated those abilities early on. Did you have somebody like that?
I did eventually get a mentor. So that's a great question. When I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I ended up majoring in sports management. And I said, I want to work in sports. But again, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. And so when I got out of school, I was looking for a job, and I ended up working in health and fitness. And I started at the bottom and working in private clubs up in the Boston market. And I did find a mentor. So I had a mentor. His name was Rick Caro, and he was a marketing professor in New York City. And he founded an association called IRSA, which was the largest association of fitness clubs in the world. And so Rick created this association. He mentored me. He was a high-end consultant, and he worked with people, owners of clubs all over the United States and all over the world.
About what time period was that?
The time period was that's a good question, was in the probably mid-'80s.
Okay.
Mid-'80s, long time ago.
Right. But, the whole Arnold fitness thing had already kind of elevated.
Yes.
So fitness clubs were in at least bigger cities, if not slowly.
Yes, large, big clubs were, multi-sport clubs, racquetball clubs, tennis clubs. I kind of cut my teeth on that. I worked in 2 resort hotels. I ran health clubs. I basically did every job in the industry that you could do.
Now, what kind of words of wisdom, maybe some nuggets did he give you like early on that's kind of stuck with you over these years?
Well, one of the things that he really hammered down on me is, he talked about customer service, how to service the members. One of the challenges in the fitness industry is a word called perceived value. So he said, Darrell, if you have your own club, and I had a dream, actually. I wanted to have my own club when I was 25 years old, and I came very close to buying a club in Sarasota, Florida. And so he did an analysis for me, but he really taught me the industry in terms of how to provide outstanding customer service, how to get feedback from the members, how to purchase good equipment, and then really learn your numbers of the industry.
Now, I kind of got a hopscotch with this question. I'm kind of asking it pretty early, but, let's be honest. Pretty much everybody knows this common knowledge that the fitness industry can be lucrative for some people who might not always have others' best interest in mind.
Yes.
Did you find that early?
Yes, I did. And there was a lot of opportunities to work in private clubs. Bally's was a big player back then. Some of the very sales-driven organizations. So Rick helped me get my first job. So I actually made a segue and a turn. And so I lived on St. Simon's Island about 32 years ago. And he gave me an introduction to the president of IRSA. And I actually ran one of the first medically based fitness centers in the United States. I worked for Charter Medical. And I had a higher mission that I was really had a passion to help people change their health. And I found the venue of medically based fitness was the venue that I could work in, because the hospital, back then their mission statement was to improve the health of the community they serve. So I left Cape Cod in Massachusetts. I worked at St. Simon's Island, which is just an hour and 20 minutes to the north of here, and I ran a medically based fitness center. So I cut my teeth on that. And once I started working for medically based fitness, I said, I don't want to ever leave that. So I've actually run and administrated 5 medically based fitness centers for hospitals.
And maybe digging into that a little bit more, like what about that environment or industry or maybe outcome, short term or long term, motivates you?
Well, again, if you take the application of that particular type of business, you have staff that are really there to help people. You have a program director. You have an aquatics director. You have people that help people with weight loss. So I worked with all different types of populations and every disease modality. So I've worked at wellness centers that have had cardiac rehab, Parkinson's programs, physical therapy, aqua therapy, rehabilitation. So really, Matthew, my passion is to help people improve their health through fitness, through exercise, through nutrition. So I was in a vehicle where I could really make that happen. At the administrative level, I had to hire the best people to do that myself and make sure that the quality of the service was there. But what really I'm passionate, my why is that I'm very passionate about how people improve their health and exercise and nutrition and weight loss.
And I'm sure, like, over the years, obviously this has been cemented into your brain and you can see things from a larger scope. But that, this is kind of unfortunate. If somebody doesn't join a fitness center early, they're eventually probably going to join later because maybe something had happened.
Exactly. So if we look at our health, of the United States right now, 70% of the population is overweight or obese. Mm-hmm. Over 10% of the population has type 2 diabetes. 20% of the population has diabetes, but they don't even know it.
Right.
So, we're not really moving the needle. We have the ability through healthcare to treat these diseases. So when you have coronary heart disease, you can live longer. But as far as nutrition and exercise and obesity, we're really failing as far as helping people change their lives.
Right. And so if we were to look at those numbers nationwide, it can be kind of, depressing could be a word. However, on a local scale, on an individual scale, that despite the numbers nationally or despite the numbers that don't change, that people can change. And,
Exactly. And that's again what motivates me. So my wife and I made a decision in December of 2012 to buy this Anytime Fitness Lakewood, but we wanted to run it like a medically based fitness center. So in terms of our staffing, we get referrals from physical therapists, neuromuscular therapists, physicians. We do a health history questionnaire. My passion or mission is to help one person at a time. And we've seen that happen in this particular location. We've seen people lose 110 pounds, 90 pounds, 60 pounds, 70 pounds. We've helped people that have a type 2 diabetes to lower their blood sugar, lower their blood pressure, come off medications. The body is just fantastic in terms of its ability to recover.
And you've seen all this with the help of Brenda, your wife, and the staff here.
Yes,
you've done all this without magic pills.
Yeah, and I couldn't do it without my wife. Brenda is a registered nurse. She worked at the Mayo Clinic. She actually was the assistant director of a cardiac rehab floor. She's done occupational nursing, home health care. Worked at the Mayo Clinic, and so a service that we provide that a traditional club wouldn't be, that you get access to an RN. And so she does a lot of time coaching, counseling, talking to people about medical questions. When we have our members, if they have to go on a medical hold, we'll ask for a medical clearance from the physician, prior to them exercising again. So we have a unique environment that you're never going to find in a traditional club. I've never, ever run a small box club before. This club is 6,200 square feet. My clubs were up to 66,000 square feet with almost 6,000 members. But we have a unique opportunity to build relationships with people and to private coaching. And whether you purchase personal training here or not, we're still going to give you access and try to help you improve your health. So one of the mantras that I learned from the medical director at Sinai Hospital is, he was chief of cardiology. He said he truly believed that exercise and nutrition could improve the quality of your life, no matter what age, no matter who you are. Not necessarily the length of your life. I mean, God forbid, if you have some type of disease condition. So we have members here from the age of 14. We just had a woman enroll last week that's 94 years old. Very inspiring. And she exercises. She has high energy. She's walking on a treadmill. She's doing some dumbbells, and she's working to maintain her health at our club.
Right. And this is the personal trainer coming out in me, and a listener might be skeptical about, you mentioned like past testimonials, past clients losing 100 pounds, 80 pounds, things of that nature. The personal trainer in me, knows based on these stories that these were legitimate weight loss stories. I mean, these people weren't starving themselves. They were working out.
There are programs here in Jacksonville, starvation programs where, they restrict the calories or even put somebody into ketosis, which is very dangerous for the body. Ours is a very slow, gradual process. I've worked with a client that lost 50 pounds and he did it in a year. But the number one thing is he had to change his nutrition. We tell people that healthy nutrition is 85% of your results. And we combine strength training with high-intensity interval training and nutrition. And if you put all three of those together and you get your heart rate up to a high target heart rate, you will lose weight in a healthy fashion. There is a science behind weight loss. And it's difficult. I mean, it's, Matthew, you're a trainer, it's very difficult. You've done this with yourself. It's very difficult to add lean muscle mass and lose body fat, but it can be done. I've seen it. I mean, I've trained up to 5 clients, on a monthly basis. And I'm that's the teacher in me. I'm passionate about teaching and helping people with lifestyle changes. And it can be done, but it all starts here between your ears in terms of your perception and its knowledge. And knowledge is power.
And I'm sure the more clients you see go through this transformation, the more it motivates you.
It is. It is. And it really starts with a commitment level. So if somebody were to come here and they wanted private coaching, one of the questions we would ask you is, how committed are you to your own personal health? We're looking for somebody that we say on a scale of 1 to 10. Well, we're looking for somebody between an 8 and a 10. It's hard work. It's not easy. I mean, I know at one time, you how many pounds did you lose, Matthew?
I was at 203, so I'm at 165 now, so almost 40.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And I've actually lost weight myself. So I went through a time in my life where I was injured. I couldn't exercise. I was going through physical therapy, and I lost 50 pounds myself. So I've had to struggle with that. So it makes me more empathetic with somebody else.
Right.
Because you could say, well, oh my gosh, I don't think you were ever heavy. No, I actually had to lose 50 pounds. My blood sugar was elevated. So I was developing my own health issues. And I'm like, Darrell, you know what to do. Now do it.
And looking at the present, I know that when people come in, potential clients of the club, potential members of the club, you constantly refer to the mission statement on the wall.
Yes.
And it's a little bit different than mission statements of perhaps other gyms, correct?
Yes. And the name of our business is Optimal Performance. And the name of our program is Optimal Performance Training. So our mission is we want to be able to educate people. Again, we use this word education to give them the knowledge that they need to make lifestyle changes so that they can have optimal health. Optimal health means that you have energy for day-to-day life, that you reduce your stress in your life. So as we age, we lose muscle and gain body fat, and you can reverse that. So we spend the time to educate people. That's why we do workshops. That's why we do seminars. That's why we bring in speakers. And we have trainers here that are highly educated, have college degrees and national certifications. A lot of gyms say, well, I have a trainer, but they're self-certified and they have no education and they have no training. So we're very selective. We say, unless you have these certifications, you can't even work with us as a trainer.
Okay. And so if somebody were out there listening to this, perhaps whatever point in life they are, perhaps if they haven't worked out ever, or if they work out every day, kind of what's the kind of the meat and potatoes of the message today?
Well, the message is, Matthew, it's a simple one. It doesn't matter what age you are, you can make lifestyle changes. I mean, we have clients that are training here that are 88 years old. We've had a woman that was a runway model that was 90 years old that had a hip replacement that wanted to improve her balance, and she didn't want to use a cane anymore. So exercise is the fountain of youth. I mean, if you really look at the research, and I do a lot of studying of exercise, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can add lean muscle mass, you can get stronger, you can work on your core, you can work on your flexibility. Your heart's a muscle. So if you elevate your heart rate, you can lower your resting heart rate and save beats per minute. So there is always, the thing that I learned from my wife that's an RN, what does the science say? What does the research say? So when I write blogs, I do research. What is clinically researched? Not what Darrell's opinion is. When we look at high-intensity interval training, what does the leading researcher on high-intensity interval training, Dr. Gabala, he's got 140 peer-reviewed articles. We dig into the research because in the fitness world, there's so much misinformation and people don't know. They're confused. They don't know how much exercise. They don't know what diet. And, there's always another diet coming down the road. You could go from the Atkins diet, to the paleo diet, to the keto diet. And so, it's very confusing for people.
Yeah, it seems to be that the fitness industry, as I pointed to and we talked about in the 80s, lucrative for some types of people who aren't necessarily in it for the best interest of others. That unfortunately continues today. And so you'll get that with people kind of just wanting to cash in on diets and different workout programs, mainly diets I see. I mean, it's just crazy diets all the time.
I see that all the time. And I see a lot of people that really are in it to make a quick dollar, and they guarantee so many you're going to lose 40 pounds in a month. They put it in writing, and they really, you see these people, they really are given up hope, and so they'll pay no matter what kind of money. They might drop $1,800, $2,000. They put themselves in a starvation mode. They cut out all their healthy carbohydrates, and then what happens? They lose the weight temporarily, and guess what happens? When they have carbohydrates again, they gain it all back, and they've lost their muscle, their lean muscle, and then they get even fatter, and then they're frustrated, and they're like, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm. But it's good to know that, even if they get to that point, there's a place they can come here at Anytime Fitness and they can turn their life around.
Yes, and that's what we do. When somebody comes in, we sit down, whether you purchase training or a membership, we sit down with you and we ask you questions. The first question is, why did you come in today? Tell me about yourself and what's the most important thing you're looking for in a fitness facility. So we really take the time, a consultative approach to, ask people what their goals and objectives are. And we spend the time with the people. Many of the health clubs today are just membership driven. So basically you walk in there, it's not about you, it's about selling you a membership. Once you sign up, no one's going to help you. You're on your own and there's nobody there to work with you. We have trainers here that are scheduled during the day that even if you're not purchasing training, somebody will help you and work with you and answer your questions.
It's good to know. And to end this first podcast on some positive notes, what's maybe some words of wisdom you have? Maybe a golden nugget to leave people with today, something that's really pressing on your mind lately.
Well, I would just say, to somebody, take the time to exercise. Take the time to learn about your diet. Even if you don't join this club, change your life. Take the first step. So many people get this impression that, I have to be in great shape before I even go to Anytime Fitness Lakewood. That's not the truth. You just have to take the first step. You have to make the commitment. Just start doing something small, something bite-sized, something easy. I heard this great story, and I'll end this, and it was Charles Barkley and Moses Malone. So Charles Barkley was playing with the Sixers, and Moses Malone was his mentor, was a great Hall of Fame center. Well, it turned out that Charles Barkley was obese. He was about 60 pounds overweight. So Moses pulled him under his wing, and he said to him, Charles, you're never going to be a really great basketball player until you lose 10 pounds. So what he did is he exercised and he lost 10 pounds. He took him out to dinner. Charles Barkley said, "Oh, that's great." And he goes, "Well, now you got to lose another 10 pounds. And he did it 6 times. So he lost 60 pounds. And at the end of him, he said to Moses, he said, "Why didn't you tell me that?" He said, I knew that if I told you had to lose 60 pounds, that you would never do it. So I decided that every time you lost 10 pounds, so I would take you out to dinner and celebrate, because I knew that was the only way you would do it." And then he had a stellar career. But Moses knew, step by step, piece by piece, celebrate the successes of those 10 pounds. And then he took him to a place where he lost 60 pounds, and he was the MVP of the league.
Nice. Motivating words.
Motivating words. A great story. I just saw that on television.
Very nice. Cool. Awesome. Well, we've been sitting here with owner of Anytime Fitness Lakewood, Darrell McKay. Darrell, thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Absolutely. Matthew Fogle, personal trainer here at Anytime Fitness Lakewood. Thanks for joining us for our first ever podcast here on May the 1st, 2019. Thank you again for listening to this podcast brought to you by Anytime Fitness Lakewood. And we have a special offer just for you. If you would like to try out our club for 2 weeks, you may call the club at 904-731-7900. Ask for me, Matthew. Once again, that number, 904-731-7900. Thanks again.